Hi guys, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop, and first and foremost I have to apologize. I got my phone fixed. I just got offline with Verizon agent, which linked to my phone so he could tell me what to do. We had to go through a whole bunch of stuff, but he finally got it to accept my password. So now it's working, and the emails are pouring in from the last 4 or 5 days. I'll try to get to as many as I can, as quick as I can, and get you your answers. So I am sorry about that. I was not getting emails, texts, or notifications in the bottom underneath my videos. I'm really sorry. But I just got off the phone with him. It's fixed, and after I do this video, I will try to answer as many as I can as fast as I can. But in this video, I'm back on Bruce's machine, and I'm going to put new spindle bearings in. And there's a couple things I want to mention to you. And I don't have I'll have a junk bearing in a minute. Now, this machine had 2 spindles. One had wore out bearings, one had very good bearings. And the side that had the good bearings in it is the side of the deck that was all beat up and had a rip in it that we fixed. And I'm assuming that the bearings totally failed and allowed the blade to flop around and ruin and cut the deck up. Now, this is the good bearings. This is the blade mounting bar. It's not very big because this takes a different style blade than what we're used to seeing. This is the blade, and it's got a pocket in it that slips over top of this bar. It doesn't mount to the bar at all. The bar is only on there to keep the blade from spinning when it gets in heavy, wet grass. But if you watch this mounting bar when I spin it, get it so you can see it a little better. It only makes a half a revolution. That is a good bearing. It's stiff, and most people think that's wore out. No, that is a good set of bearings. Now, the ones we're going to replace are the ones in this spindle. Now watch this bar. Them are shot. Bearings should not turn that easy. And while we're on the subject, I've had a lot of questions about front wheel bearings. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one bearing that I would put in my machine. And I have had somebody tell me about they use nylon inserts. They don't use the bearings at all. I have not tried those. I can't promote them because I've never used them. But these bearings are both ball bearings. And there's a difference you can see. These bearings are made in China with Chinese steel in a Chinese company with Chinese inspectors. And they are $3.40 some cents at Farm and Fleet. These bearings are $12 and something a piece. These are stamped sheet metal. You can tell that edges rolled over here. These are machined bearings made in the United States of America. Believe it or not, they are made in this country. And they are machined bearing ways or raceways, whatever you want to call them, where the balls go. They're machined balls. They're a much better bearing. This is the one I use. I've got an old bearing around here somewheres Let me see if I can quick find it. Now this bearing is out of my friend's machine. He passed away a few years ago, and I help out his widow whenever she needs anything. And this, she got rid of her snapper and she bought a Husky. And this is the bearing that came out of the deck. She called me up and she said, man, she says, my deck is making a lot of noise, and I want you to come and look at it. Well, this is what, I can't even hold it up. This is what's left to the bearing. The inner and outer race is totally separated. The seals have come out of it. I just lost another part. And the retainer for the balls has totally fell apart. And not only that, this bearing is totally made in China with Chinese steel. If I pick these balls up, here's one ball. It's still intact. It's still round and in one piece. This is the other ball. I don't know if I can hold it up. Maybe I can tip the camera down so you can see it in my hand. As you can see, it broke in half. Now the bearing company I deal with used to be Detroit Ball Bearing. Now it's Implied Industrial. I took these over there and showed a friend of mine, Bruce, and he just chuckled and he said, them are Chinese bearings, aren't they? He said, they don't use quality steel. That's why that ball broke in half. American-made bearings and American companies that are made in China. If you look on the back of this box, you'll see it right there. These bearings are made in a Timken plant located in China. They use our steel, they use our quality control, and they use our company. Only thing we use in China is the labor force. So these are a good set of bearings. That is what I'm going to put in this spindle. So let's take this thing apart and we'll show you how to put them in. First off, you have to get this mounting bar off. Now, unfortunately, I had to beat on this so much to get it to bust loose, I'm going to have to replace this. Then underneath that, we have a washer that has a boss sticking out on it. The reason that is on there is it drops in here and it sets on the inner race only. And that is how you load the bearings when you screw this on. So we'll take that off. Now we're going to take the snap ring off the top. Now some of these, and this one is not one, in order to fix the bearings, you have to be able to get the bottom bearing out. Now once you get the one snap ring off, you can push the whole spindle and bearing out the top. The bottom bearing floats in the spindle housing, and I'll show you why in a second. We're going to knock that out. I don't recommend doing this because you're going to destroy the bearing by pounding on it, but these are junk anyway. The way these spindles work is your top bearing goes in until it hits that snap ring. Then you put the snap ring in, you put this bearing in, You put the other snap ring in. That captures the bearing so it cannot move in this housing. It's captured there. Then when you drop the spindle in, you have to put it in from the bottom. You put the other bearing on. On the top you have a piece of tubing that goes on here, and then your big pulley goes on, then the nut goes on. That locks this bearing from moving. And when you put the bottom bearing in and you put this washer on, you can see it's only touching the inner race. And when you lock up the mounting bar, or this bar that holds the blade, you're pinching this bearing and this bearing together through this spindle, and that's what locks it in there. And when you screw that bar on there, it's going to draw the bearing in as deep as it needs to be. That's what aligns them. Now there is a guy on YouTube that I watch once in a while, just to get a chuckle. It's something Saloon. I can't think of the name right now, but he came on, he made a video that said how to make your spindle bearings last longer. And when I was there this morning and picked these bearings up, I asked him about that. I said, this guy came on and he said to make these bearings last longer, you want to take a screwdriver and you want to pry this shield out of there on one side. Then you put that in your housing with the open side in. The same on the bottom. Then when you pump grease into this grease fitting, you're putting grease into the bearings and they last longer. No. It sounds good, but that is not true. I talked to Bruce at Detroit Ball Bearing, and he said in theory it sounds good, but really what you're going to be doing is, if the grease that's built up between this bearing and this bearing doesn't harden up, let's say it stays in the state that it's in when you pump it in there, new, you're going to be pumping too much grease in these bearings and you will burn them up. Too much grease is not good. Back when we rebuilt spindles at the shop, I would buy $800 bearings. There's 4 of them in a high-speed spindle. They come open. There's not shielded on either side, but that's the way the spindle is made. I have to grease these before I assemble them. And it tells you that you grease these. I'd draw a little line on there or something. 25% load. So you pack grease in there with your finger on both sides, only 25% of that bearing. Any more, it's going to create friction, even though it's grease, and it's going to burn them up. You don't want to burn up a set of bearings that's running you $3,200. Now to get these in here, let's go back down here. When I tear a spindle apart, I want the inside to be clean. A lot of these get rusty. So I'll take out both snap rings. Now I've already had this apart and cleaned it out. I'll take both snap rings out and I use a cylinder hone. And I stick it in here. And I hone the cylinder. Now I have a set of these hones that go from 5/8 of an inch to 7 inches. I want all the dirt and rust out of here so I don't have a problem with it getting on or in the bearings. even though they're shielded. So we want to take this first bearing. Now another thing, you do not want to open a set of bearings before you use them. You want to keep them clean. And you can see that these are shielded on both sides. And they should slide right down in there. We'll try to push it in over here. Oh, my handle is slipping up here. And you just want to shove that in there. Now we're going to put this snap ring back in the top. You want to make sure it snaps into the slot. As you can see, I got my little press done. Now we want to put this spindle back in the housing. And we want to put the bottom bearing in. Usually they will slide in. Please do not beat on them. If it doesn't want to go in and you have to put some force on it, take your old bearing, put it on top of the new bearing and tap on that. That way you won't be hitting the shielding and breaking it loose. Your washer with the step goes back on. The step goes against the bearing. And you screw this back on. And again, if you watch and we spin this, it's only turning a half a revolution. That is a good set of bearings. So Bruce, your spindles are both in good shape. I've got to get some parts ordered up and we're going to be reassembling this thing. I'm going to try to get some paint on some areas where I welded it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to paint the whole thing. The weather up here is, I'm in Michigan, is not cooperating outside for painting. It's either raining, it's too cold, or if it's not raining and it's warm like it was the other day, it was so windy I couldn't get the paint to hit the mower deck. So we're gonna try somehow. I told the wife maybe I'll get some tarps and stretch out some ropes around some trees out back behind the building and make a paint booth. I don't know what else to do. But that's it for today. We got a spindle put together. Now, I did go down and I spent some money. Actually, I spent my rebate slips from Menards and I bought myself a impact universal and some impact sockets, extensions for my sockets. I got last video, well, I haven't uploaded that one yet. I got hollered at for using the wrong sockets with an impact gun. Sorry, just use what you got. So I bought those, and another thing I got hollered at, I'll probably mention this again when I'm putting the deck back together, but I had one viewer wrote me an email and said, I was screaming at the video, you're going the wrong way. Well, I worked with an old school plumber for a few years between jobs, and he taught me when you're working on galvanized pipe or black pipe or nuts and bolts, anything you're trying to break loose, if they're rusty, a lot of times you cannot unscrew them. But he showed me, you put the wrench on and you tighten it, it will turn. Then once it turns, it's broke loose and you can unscrew it. So I still do that. It's a habit. It works. Try it out sometime. If you're trying to get something apart and it will not unscrew, tighten it a little. I know it's that sounds really stupid, but it works. This was an old timer. I was pretty young when I worked with him. He was at that point, he was probably in his late 70s, and I'm talking 50 some years ago. But it actually works. Try it. And that's the end of this. All I wanted to do was quick put some bearings in there. I had a lot of questions about bearings, and please do not pull the seals out of your bearings, the shields. Another issue you're going to have, this is another spindle I have. If you look real close, if I can get the light right, see this little mark right here on the inside of the housing? There's 4 of them. There's one there. I can turn this without dropping it. There's another one up here, and there's another one right there. That is so you can really see it good, but you can't see it very good on camera. There's one right there. There's another one, and there's 2 more over here. That is what whoever builds these, I assume Snapper, they have a die that they stuff in there after this is assembled. And what them little marks are from is it rolls the steel down in the hole so you can't get that bottom bearing out. Well, the bearing's junk anyway. You get yourself a little Dremel tool with a little either carbide burr or a white wheel, and you go in there and you grind them out. The bearing will come right out. It's either that or you pay some guy anywhere from $45 to $95 an hour to rebuild your spindle for you. And what did it actually take? 20 minutes. The hardest part on this spindle was getting this off. And if you look good, you can tell I beat it up pretty bad. I don't want to take the chance on that being bent because I don't want his blade wobbling. So I'm going to replace that. And that's it. I don't know, I did mention about the grease in here, if it stays good. Typically it will not. Old grease it's lithium based grease, and it dries out and it hardens. So your grease fitting is way down here. If all this grease dries up and hardens and you pump grease in there, what do you think is going to go in your bearings? This new grease or all this dried up hardened grease? And that will definitely destroy your bearings. On these snappers with this grease fitting on here, do not grease them. Sometimes I'll even take that fitting out and I'll weld that hole shut. It has a vent hole on the top, and it has to have a vent hole. These things run and they get hot, and if it gets hot enough with no vents, it could split the housing and pop it open. So please don't try to grease your bearings. Bearings today are greased for the life of the bearing. Greasing it will not extend its life, it'll shorten it. So I'm done with preaching on that. I just want you people to get the most out of your money and actually less work because you don't have to grease that. So please remember to subscribe if you're new to this channel. I have a lot of videos out there. I don't think you're going to be able to see what I want to show you because of the glare. Well, that don't show up too bad. If you go to my channel, if you're subscribed, it makes it a whole lot easier. Go to my channel and scroll over. Oh, that certainly didn't work. Scroll over to where it says About and touch that. That's going to bring up a disclaimer. It'll show you how many views I have, which last week I broke over 2 million views. Thank you guys for that. But it also says links. You touch that and then it'll ask you, oh, this is terrible. I usually use Safari, and it will bring up a list of all my videos by number. Now, as far as I know, I am the only YouTube channel on that labels or numbers every single video. That is for your benefit, not mine. Well, yeah, a little bit mine too, because then I can find them and tell you which one to look at. And I also have a list that is numbered and a description of the video. You can download that list, and when you need to fix something, you can look, you can find the video you want, find the number, go to my YouTube channel and scroll down to that number, and hey, you're golden. I do that for my viewers' benefits, and with as many videos or people I'm subscribed to, I have never seen that option. I have had people tell me when I would email them, hey, you know, I kind of like your channel. You said you had a video that shows how to do something. He said, yeah, I got it. It's there. Just scroll around and look for it. Well, I'm sorry, but nobody's going to go through 348 videos to try and find the one they want. I'm almost reaching 350. So again, please subscribe. And until next time, work safe, have fun, and keep on snapping. Oh yes, this t-shirt was from Heath Holden, and he does sell them. He made me this one special, and he does have another one that I think it just says Snapper on it. And I will try to put his, if I can find it, his name and email address, he told me I could, in the description below. And if you want, you can get a hold of him and get one of these shirts or one of mine. I don't really care. I'm not here to make money. I sell my shirts for exactly what I pay for them and the shipping. And that's it. So until later, have fun and keep on snapping. We'll talk to you soon. So long.